name is Stacy Long. I came to speak about the initial agenda topic that was removed about the vote slip topic. Again, I said my name is Stacy Long. We are a slip owner from 2016 at Smithville Lake. I am also a registered nurse at Children's Mercy Hospital downtown, and a mom of 3 kids that you might have heard in the background. So I think that we've gotten mixed up in quite a political mishap, and in turn it will directly affect our financial status and what we worked really hard for and what we enjoy in our free time, which is voting. We just initially became slip holders this past April 2016, where we paid by phone to initially have that slip. Then this year, when they called to ask if we would renew, my husband said we'd like to pay over the phone. They informed us that we were not allowed to pay over the phone, but they were just calling to ensure that we were intending to renew our slip, which at that point in time, my husband said, yes, we are renewing. And he said he was currently out of town at the time, and he said my wife can come up and pay, or I can come in the next week or so. Where the gentleman told us on the phone, come in the next week or so, that would be fine. My husband went in this past Saturday, where they told us that our slip has been sold, and that upon a letter which was being currently written, we had 10 days to remove our vote and our lift. We don't own a trailer for that vote at this time. We've worked really hard. We don't take vacations. This is our vacation. We have 3 young kids. To have 10 days in order to come up with the finances to take our boat out, we would probably likely have to sell the boat. That's why I'm here. That's why I've waited. We were not in any type of social media prior to Saturday, where I reached out online and was then caught up in quite a bit of what now I'm learning to be a political mess. We hear of 50 to 60 slip holders that are in similar positions to us, where slips have been sold after being told that we were simply needed to renew. Some people were in position of late fees. We were before the late fee occurrence had even come into factor. We were just told, whereas before we paid by phone, we were told that they were no longer taking payments by phone and that we could come in and make payment when possible. I feel like I had the time today in order to come in and be the voice for the other 50 or 60 that are in that position. Not quite as convenient for me, but this is important to us, to our family, and I feel like there's probably several other people in our similar situation that we're asking, I guess, that if the policy change that came from above, if you all were trying to eliminate people paying late, then that policy needed to be effective to all employees, that they all needed to have proper education. If it was no pay by phone, we should have been informed of that. Just equal respect in both ways. We have no intention of paying late or whatever it may be, but we are directly being affected because of this change or whatever was attempting to be done. So.
Well, thank you very much for waiting out the entire morning, especially seeing as you've got a couple of small kids. I realize that's not the easiest situation to be in, to be able to come up. And I do apologize for the fact that you had to wait through the entire meeting. You did not have the ability to perhaps make your voice heard earlier and take your kids to, all the things that the kids require, naps, food, or the whole thing. So I appreciate your ability to hang in there, and I do apologize for the fact that we were not able to allow you to come forward until this moment. So you were told, basically there was kind of a mixed message going on as far as what the situation was as far as being able to pay your slip. It sounds like you were told yes you could, and then you come in and you're being told no you can't, and oh by the way, your slip has been reassigned.
Exactly. And we've also heard from other people that were willing to pay and denied payment even the day that it was due or the day after, which we're understanding now per documents that are out there saying that we would have had up to 30 days to make a late payment fee, which would have been 10% of our slip fee. And those people also have had their slips sold at this point to others who have already made payment then, which is going to then create quite a situation. We feel like this could easily be resolved with, and I'm sorry, or we've made a mistake, or the process wasn't laid out maybe ahead of time in a way that everyone could be made aware of it. There's going to be disgruntled customers on both sides, the 50 to 60 that have had their slip removed, or those that then thought that they now had a slip for the next coming year, and when in fact we still, I think, have some legal rights to the slips that we had up to 30 days after that.
One of the things that occurred to me, because there did seem to be a good deal of confusion on the part of some of the slip holders, that was why I urged staff to postpone any action on this until we as a commission could discuss it and review the policy and make sure that we were bringing some degree of clarity. Some of the stories that I've heard were, you know, if you're one day late, you're done.
Right.
Which I'm trying to think of how many businesses actually do that sort of thing. Generally, there's a late fee, and I've not run into anybody who's been involved in this situation who didn't say, you know what, I was late, my fault, I will take care of the fee. I've not really seen anything but that attitude of, you know what, I wasn't here on time, my fault, and, you know, let me know what the late fee is and I will take care of it.
There's a late fee policy, and it states in our contract that you have up to 30 days after. We're running into a bit of a time crunch now. If this isn't on the agenda and we get a letter of eviction, then we start to get into a bind as to we have no one to contact or reach out if the topic isn't tabled. And then if we run into that 30 days, there's going to be, if boats begin to get towed and property begins to get removed, who's being held liable for all of these actions, or who is going to do these things? Because the employees at the marina have felt very strongly that they feel like the slip holders are in the right, and I feel like those employees are saying their hands are tied, but I would hate to see someone from higher up come in and make a lot of rash changes without really having just a complete understanding across the board of what's happened.
Which is why, like I say, my urgent request was that we suspend this until we had time to really think through this policy. It seems to be somewhat new. If I remember last year, the county itself was fairly late on getting out our notices.
And that date changes from year to year, as I've been told. Like I said, we just became slip holders April of 2016. This was our first renewal. This is the first time that we've been in it. So what do you suggest we do if this, what does the county telling us if we're hearing from the county that you're going to get an eviction notice and you have 10 days? What do you suggest we do if it's not been tabled here, I guess?
I will repeat what I think is our proper course, and that was to suspend this issue. In the past, I have owned rental property, and anybody who's owned rental property has been in the situation where someone has their leases lapsed, or they have a late payment issue that comes before them. It's going to happen if you own rental property of any sort for any length. When I owned that, I was extremely reticent. It would be about the last thing on my list of things to do would be to go in there and actually start removing personal property from that residence, almost regardless of how late they were. I realize this is not apples and apples, but we're talking about what was the date that you attempted to make your payment?
On January 9th.
January 9th. So that sounds like it's well within the.
January 12th was the paperwork that said that the due date it was due on. And at the time when my husband got the call and he said, I'll pay over the phone right now,
Right.
They said, we're not accepting payment over the phone. But my wife can run up there now, which getting 3 kids out of the house would not have been my favorite thing to do at that moment. He knows that I probably wouldn't have liked that. So he said, I'm out of town, can I come in the next couple weeks? And the gentleman on the phone at the marina said, that would be fine, we'll mark it that you are planning to renew, and we'll move about our business. So that was the understanding that we had had.
Now, when did you got a call subsequent to that that said, sorry, you can't make the payment after all, or did you go over there?
We went in Saturday the 21st. My husband went in just this past Saturday to pay and turn in the contract. And that's when they said, we can't accept any payment. The slip is actually already sold. And they said, come in the following day and speak to a step higher than that. So my husband went in on Sunday afternoon, and that employee also told him, her hands were tied, you have to take it up higher than this, we're not accepting any late payment or any payments right now. You can't, we have such and such other sizes available of slip if you want to go on the waiting list for those. And if that comes available, you can speak to the person who has purchased your slip currently and see if he will allow you to leave your lift there. She was trying to be accommodating in that manner.
I'm not sure I see the urgency to, I mean, it seems a little hard-nosed to say if you know, again, I realize these are not apples to apples kinds of situations, but when I ran my rental properties, I was running them with the idea that in spite of the fact that occasionally there would be some late issues, that I was still there. They were my customer, and I had to try to make accommodations, obviously within limits, but that we make accommodations and that we try to take into account the situation. The fact that you don't have the ability to really remove it because you don't have a trailer. Mr. Administrator, what is the procedure on this, in this situation where this family doesn't have a trailer to put their boat on? How do we proceed on that?
Mr. Nolte, I think under the advice of legal counsel, I would refrain from commenting. I'm not aware of their individual situation, and I would caution the commission from doing the same, especially commenting on employees that have been mentioned several times.
Yeah, and you just mentioned staff. I don't believe you mentioned any names. Or,
I don't know the gentleman's name.
please don't.
Oh, okay, don't mention names.
Yes, we were trying to not mention names. I'm just trying to sort, I mean, is there some way, can you, Mr. Administrator, talk to this lady and somehow figure out what we do in this? Because, I mean, I don't know what the physical way we would remove that boat. That worries me.
And are you all saying too, is my understanding that you're saying put this on hold as we won't hear an eviction notice, or who would you suggest I contact then if we get an eviction notice?
It is my preference that we would, and it did not carry the day, but it was my preference that the proceedings be suspended until we had a chance to look through them and until commission had an opportunity to weigh in and possibly give guidance to the staff.
And you think that will be done in the next?
No, I'm sorry. I urged that. It appears that it did not. What I was urging was that dock slips not be reassigned. They, in fact, have been reassigned.
Right.
I would, Commissioner Owen, do you have any thoughts on this situation?
I don't know enough about it yet, so.
Okay.
See, and I didn't know enough about it until Saturday either. But then this has put us in a really difficult position as a family who's made the sacrifices to get this far, and yet we're talking about a lot of money for us right now to come up with if we needed to remove a lift, to remove a boat, to find a location, to store, to sell, what we need to do. And my only pushing matter is that I've been told by the county that I have a time limit on this. And that's why I'm here right now, is because we don't want to run into more legal ramifications if we get evicted and we get towed, or these boats are being taken somewhere. And so I'm trying to get this matter resolved in the right place with the right people in a fair amount of time. And if the policy wanted to be changed, that you all wanted late fees to be gone, I absolutely understand that. It needs to be then done in a manner where the entire staff is aware of it, as well as the slipholders.
There does seem
But I wasn't even in that position where
There does seem to be some confusion on how this was proceeded. Commissioner Ridgway, do you have any thoughts?
As a general rule, here's what I have to say. I do stand behind our staff in enforcing a uniform policy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was, did you understand that?
No, fine. What's that?
Could you please repeat that? Mrs. Long did not quite catch your comment. Commissioner Ridgway, Mrs. Long said she didn't quite catch your comment. Would you mind repeating it, please?
I just said that my general comment is that I am standing behind our staff and enforcement of a uniform policy.
So are you referring to the contract that we signed as a policy? Because we signed a contract, and in that contract, it says that you will pay 10% of a late fee, and we're still within that in that 30 days. So why were the boat slips sold to other people if we're still under that contract?
Commissioner Ridgway, could you hear that question?
No, I'm afraid that a back and forth dialogue is going to be very difficult. There's a lot of static and background noise that I'm having a hard time understanding, and I also gather that you're having a bit of a difficult time understanding me. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think there is a contract. There's revocable licenses that expire, but I don't think there's contracts.
There's a contract. We sign it yearly. I don't have it in front
Could
of me,
you
but
speak a little bit more into the microphone, please? Thank you.
there is a contract, and we sign it yearly. I have it in a PDF document. I can forward it to, I believe actually I've emailed with this information and that contract. I believe to you, Ms. Ridgway. I'm not sure. That was done last night.
Yeah, Commissioner Ridgway, I got a letter from Jacob and Stacy Long, and the timestamp on that particular email was Sunday, January 22 at 8:29 p.m. Does that sound pretty consistent?
So I have the fee schedule. It's an ordinance of Clay County Commission, Clay County, Missouri. On page 13, it says, late fees - late contract payments for previous slip holders will result in a 10% late fee with renewal of contract. Lack of contract will require payment of normal fee plus 20% for first 30 days. Items without a contract after 30 days will be considered abandoned. So is that my understanding that that 30 days would stand for us?
Commissioner Ridgway, I mean, this is kind of your district out there. Is that the way you see it?
Commissioner, it is virtually impossible to have a dialogue on this particular issue under these circumstances. I can only hear bits and pieces of what the citizen has to say, and I gather you're having a difficult time hearing me.
No, not really. I can hear you very clearly now.
I can't understand 3/4 of what you've been saying, so I think it's probably going to be almost impossible to have a quality conversation.
So did you receive the email that Commissioner Nolte received? Or is there an email address that I can send this document to you? Commissioner Ridgway?
I heard someone say my name, but I couldn't hear anything leading up to that.
And again, this is the reason why I was urging some caution on this, some latitude to where, because it sounds as though anecdotally that there's been some lack of clarity on the part of a lot of different people. It seems to me that our best course, once again, and I'll say it again, is that we sit down and we come to some agreement on clarity. It sounds as though anecdotally that there might be some variance in what the staff understands to be the case. It certainly is the case that many of the slip holders, our customers and in many cases our citizens, are not getting the opportunity to make the case for their rights as far as under their what they perceive as their commitment here. So once again, I don't know that there are. Have they all been pretty much reassigned? I mean, is that Mr. Administrator, is that something that you feel like you can comment on? How far are we into the process of reassignment?
Mr. Nolte, once again, on the advice of legal counsel that you received also.
I'll tell you this, I think it stinks. I think it stinks. And I will do the best I can to make sure that we come to some kind of an agreement that everybody can live with. Obviously within the bounds of what I'm being hemmed into here. But this is, we need consistency. Policy as far as this goes needs to be consistent year to year. We need our communications to be consistent. I've got some real concerns about the way this has been handled in a number of ways. I think given the fact that Commissioner Ridgway is at a handicap, I think perhaps this is something we should be talking about next week when if she is able to be here physically, so that we can get the benefit of her opinion, and that she can be able to hear firsthand what some of these concerns of our citizens are. We make a big deal sometimes about how our citizens are our customers. I get that to an extent, but you're not our customer. You are a citizen, and you are our boss. And not happy about this.
I want to make sure that I have reiterated my position that I stand behind our staff and the implementation of their decisions. I've said that at least 2 or 3 times, that I stand behind our staff and the implementation of their decisions. And in prior discussions with legal counsel, I agree with county administrator. I do not choose to go into this any further other than to say I support our staff in their decisions and the implementation thereof.
Okay, thank you guys for your time today. Thank you for listening to me. That's all.
Thank you very much for your patience.